Why Brazil doesn't wear white anymore. Have you ever wondered why Brazil wears yellow? The bright yellow shirt is one of the most famous jerseys in football history. It's been worn by legends like Pelé, Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, and Neymar. But here's the surprising part. Brazil wasn't always yellow. For decades, the Brazilian national team played in white. Then one match changed everything. A match so devastating that it transformed the identity of an entire nation. This is the story of why Brazil doesn't wear white anymore. Today, Brazil's yellow jersey is recognized all over the world. But when the national team was first established, their primary color was white. A simple white shirt with blue details, nothing flashy, nothing iconic, just a clean and traditional football kit. For years, Brazil played international matches wearing white, including the FIFA World Cup, and nobody imagined that would ever change. Then came 1950, the year Brazil hosted the World Cup. It was supposed to be a celebration, a moment when Brazil would finally become world champions in front of their own fans. The country built the massive Maracanazo stadium in Rio de Janeiro. At the time, it was the largest football stadium in the world. For the decisive match against Uruguay, nearly 200,000 spectators packed the stadium. The atmosphere was electric. Brazil only needed a draw. Just a draw. The entire country was already preparing for the celebration. Newspapers printed victory headlines before the match had even started. People believed the trophy was already theirs. Then football reminded everyone that nothing is guaranteed. Brazil took the lead early in the second half. The crowd erupted. The dream was becoming reality, but Uruguay had other plans. First, they scored the equalizer. The stadium grew quiet. Then, with just over 10 minutes remaining, Uruguay scored again. 2-1, Uruguay, silence. The kind of silence that only football can create. When the final whistle blew, nobody could believe what had happened. Brazil had lost. At home, in front of nearly 200,000 fans. The defeat became known as the Maracanazo, the disaster of the Maracanã, and for many Brazilians, it felt like more than a football match. It felt like a national tragedy. People cried, some fans refused to speak, others left the stadium in complete shock. The pain of that defeat would last for years, and strangely, many people began looking for something to blame. One of those things was Brazil's white jersey. The shirt became associated with failure, with heartbreak, with the greatest disappointment in the country's football history. Many felt it no longer represented Brazil. After all, Brazil's national flag is filled with color, yellow, green, blue, yet the national team wore almost entirely white. Something didn't feel right. The country wanted a fresh start, a new identity, a symbol of hope. So in 1953, a national newspaper launched a competition. The challenge was simple. Design a new national team uniform using the colors of the Brazilian flag. Thousands of entries were submitted from across the country. The winning design came from a young illustrator named Aldir Garcia Schlee. His idea was bold. A bright yellow shirt with green trim, blue shorts, and white socks. For the first time, Brazil's football team truly looked like Brazil. The design was approved, and soon the famous yellow jersey made its debut. At the time, nobody knew they were witnessing history, because that jersey would go on to become the most iconic shirt in football. Just 4 years later, Brazil won its first World Cup, then another in 1962. Then the legendary team of 1970 captured the imagination of the world. The yellow shirt became a symbol of beautiful football, creativity, skill, joy, and success. Over the decades, it was worn by some of the greatest players ever to step onto a football pitch. Pelé, Zico, Romario, Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Neymar. What began as a response to heartbreak became a symbol of greatness. Today, it's almost impossible to imagine Brazil wearing anything else, but every time the Seleção steps onto the field in yellow, they're carrying a piece of history, a reminder of the darkest day in Brazilian football, the day that changed everything. Because without the heartbreak of 1950, without the shock of the Maracanazo, and without a nation searching for a new beginning, the world's most famous football jersey might never have existed. And that is why Brazil doesn't wear white anymore. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to Football Inc. for more fascinating football stories from around the world, and tell us in the comments, should Brazil ever bring back the white jersey?